Good morning, everybody. This is Stacy Turner with our DMOpro Zoom. So happy that you're here with us. I hope you had a wonderful Easter Sunday. We got to go to Lubbock, Texas, and see our daughter, her son, and then we surprised my parents and them with our middle daughter, Ansley, and her husband, Kyler, came into the restaurant that we were at for dinner. So that was kind of fun. But I was having to lie to the guy that was the host at our table, and he kept saying, "Is it just six of you?" And I was like, yes, but I was like, it's Good Friday. Please stop making me lie to you. And then I went and told the waitress or the hostess, I was like, okay, it really is eight of us. Can you tell him it's eight and they're coming, but the rest of the table doesn't know. And so I'm trying to keep it a secret. So it's kind of funny. And then I was directing everybody to sit on the other side of the table, and everyone's arguing with me because like they're wanting to sit somewhere else, but I knew they were going to be walking in this way. So I was joking with them afterwards. I was like, can you guys just do what I ask without asking questions? Like maybe there's a reason I ask you to do things. And they were like, you're just being so bossy. And I was like, I was trying not to. I was just trying to direct traffic. So it was fun though. So we had a great weekend all together. They had to get back because he's the music pastor at their church, but so we got them for one night, but it was fun. We played games. There's a family game we play called Aggravation. My dad and I made aggravation boards for all of his grandkids for Christmas. I think it was 2 years ago. So it's just fun to keep that tradition going with our family. So I love family traditions and just little things that make the memories. We're always sitting around telling funny stories, and I just love that about family and why we miss living with the kids or the kids living close by. So I just wonder, what does that look like for us? And I love that this business gives me the ability to dream and to think about that. What does this look like for us? And sort of the flexibility that comes with that. And also with that flexibility, I have a hard time like staying focused now. I feel like I did better when the kids were younger and we stayed in one place for much longer. They were in school, they had, school events or sporting events. And so we would go on vacation, but not like we have been lately, Jarrett and I. So we're kind of all over the place and a little bit scattered, which brings me back to the topic we talked about last week of having an organized mind. And I thought it was such a great discussion, and it did not record where we thought it did. So I wasn't able to pass that along. So I just wanted to kind of circle back around to that and share with you guys some of the information that I had gotten from a podcast. Actually, there's two things I want to talk to you guys about. But the first one is it was a call that my son and I listened to together, and he has a mentorship group on it's on Zoom, and it's a Facebook group, and he does social media marketing. And he was paying $500 a month to have this coaching and mentoring through this company or through this guy, really. And it gives you access to kind of the guru, the leader in that, and then also to the rest of the people in the group that could help if there's questions, or if he has an ad that's just not working well, he can put it in there and then they can give feedback. So he has learned a lot. And one of the things after we listened to that, I was taking notes in the back seat as we were driving, and I was just like, this is really good. And I asked him later, kind of just trying to prompt him, what does he going to do with this information? And we had just a really great conversation, and then I shared how I felt like I was going to apply it, and I knew I wanted to share it with you guys as well. So this one was talking about having an organized mind. And so I'm just going to read you some of the highlights from that, and then we can discuss some of it again. But he said, an organized mind attracts unorganized people looking for someone to help them get organized. And people want to participate in order. So, thinking about how we help people with their health, there's all these different options and different companies and different ads and different thought processes about what it means to eat healthy. And I think, honestly, people, they really just overcomplicate it. And it gets complicated because it feels unorganized. There's all this information out there. And who do you follow? What do you pick, right? So we have an opportunity to help people organize those thoughts into something really, really simple. Most people don't argue fruits and vegetables. They know fruits and vegetables are really important. And so that's you're bringing back in the focus of fruits and veggies versus, let's say, if we were selling vitamins and we're having to talk about this vitamin A and this vitamin C, or this for joint health, or this for whatever, and cardiovascular health, and this for brain health, and this one for what, and this, like that just gets really confusing. And it feels like, well, I have to take 17 pills then, like every day. People don't like that. They like the simplicity of what we have. And it's probably what attracted a lot of us to that, right? I understood fruits and vegetables. And so I just thought, oh, this is an easy way to get more plants in. And so I felt like it cleared the path for me of having to figure out which fruits or vegetables that I couldn't get Colin to eat at the time. It cleared the path. I didn't have to try to figure out what vitamins were important and which one was safe to give him, that it just was fruits and vegetables really did appeal to me. And I think that simple message is important for us. And maybe you guys are feeling a bit like I have, where I felt like our message this last couple of years has been a little bit confusing, of not sure where to talk with people. What do I talk to them about then? And, superfood powders is really just an extension of the capsule powders, fruit and vegetable capsule powders up there, or in the gummy form, and then also superfood. So that one's not too confusing to me. Like I can wrap my mind around that. That's easy in a presentation, I feel like, to discuss with people. But once we start getting into joint health and brain health and, isolating that way, that's where I feel like my messaging I can clearly articulate it. I can tell somebody, but I can see in their mind they're kind of getting a little bit overwhelmed. And so something I've done to try to help organize my mind back is lead with the capsules, lead with the fruit and vegetable berry powders. And then the omegas are an easy one too, because a lot of people do take an omega, and so it's not that crazy to jump from a fish one that they typically don't like, right? Like they don't like the burping up of the fish or the fish smell when you open it. And so they like the idea of a plant-based that doesn't have that smell, and it can just easily be taken along with the capsules. And so I feel like that's an easy one. I think where I was having a harder time is with the luminate, like when do you bring that into conversation? And then also the super biome, like to start with the super biome and the capsules and the omega, it's a pretty big price point. And I find that people just are not starting on all of it, but I also am not sharing all of it in like, this is the starter package. So I'm sure there's other people that maybe, have a stronger viewpoint on that. And then they are able to get people into the door with all of it. But I just had to find a place where I could organize my thoughts back, because if my mind is disorganized, then I'm not going to attract people looking for organization. I'm probably going to attract people that have an organized mind trying to organize my mind, right? So it can have the opposite where they're like, she's all over the place. She needs help. I don't know what she's talking about. And, I'll go find this and then refer it back to her. I mean, it really could be something like that. So an organized mind attracts unorganized people looking for somebody to help them get organized. So we talked about that on the product side, but also think about on the business side of what we do. If we're talking to people who have an unorganized financial situation where they're just struggling, or even if they're at the point where Juice Plus makes sense to them, but they're thinking, how do I afford this? Like, how do I fit this into our family's budget? We all want to be on Juice Plus. Then where does, how am I gonna organize my budget around this? That's a great entry point to talk to people about partnering with us and getting their Juice Plus cost offset and eventually paid for. And I know that was my entrance point. I wasn't thinking of it from a business standpoint right away. That usually takes time. And it did take time for me before I really grasped a hold of, okay, this is a business where people above me are making money and doing this and growing. So why can't I? And it was also at a point where I really had a need financially that made a difference, and it kicked in for me, life situations, all of those things. But I stayed plugged in enough to see and to know that there were people being successful with this. They were getting customers, they were getting promotions. So if they could do it, why couldn't I? And I had to come to that mindset at some point where I decided I really want to do this as a business. And that shifted everything, right? Then I started organizing my mind around business growing things, such as, okay, I've been getting all these books for Christmas from these leaders above me. Maybe I should read some of those books. Maybe there's something in there that would be helpful. And so I started, teaching and leaning into leadership of what did that look like? And then how can I apply these to my team that I was starting to grow? Because I was doing presentations and I was doing business presentations, not because I was perfect at them, not because I was great at them, but because I had a strong financial need and I had a strong desire to move forward. And so that forced me into doing those hard things. So I had to organize my thoughts enough to do a presentation, organize the slides enough to do a presentation, organize the booklets. We didn't have slides. We were doing books and, printing them in a 3-ring binder. When I started bringing that information together, that boosted my confidence to where I could get in front of somebody and present it, from going from all these thoughts and things that I had learned to putting it down into that presentation form, organize my mind, which means as I was presenting, I'm presenting to people who are looking for help organizing their thoughts, and I was that organized solution for them. Does that make sense? So on the business side, it's really very similar. It's very similar. So if you have felt like your mindset has been scattered because of the last year and a half, 2 years of what we've kind of gone through with Juice Plus, you're not alone. Right? On the business side, what do we lead with? Where do we go for a good video? What information do we give them? Do I feel confident that I can lead them through placing an order and that it's going to go to the right person and that they get into the system correctly? And for a while, that was super disorganized and I didn't feel confident. I kept moving forward anyway because that was the best way I could learn it, but I didn't feel super confident with that. And so my scattered mind wasn't attracting people that are wanting to do the business side of it. Maybe they were just wanting to order one thing and never even placed another order. So when we're thinking about the business and sharing the business, what is it that you feel like right now is a disorganized space in your head that you need some clarity on and need some direction? And then what do we do about that, right? One thing is to come to conference. When we're missing out on conference, we're missing out on the big picture of all of us coming together. And that's really what's fun. And I had a team member say, I wasted a lot of years not coming to conference. I didn't realize the impact of coming to events, and I thought I would just share here and there and I would build a customer base. And she said something shifted though when she started coming to a boot camp and then coming to conference, to where it really was that boost of confidence that she did need. It is a way that we organize our mind, and with so much shifting so quickly in our company and even on the corporate side, who's leading us on that side, it is important for us to come back to get sort of our organized thoughts, because that's going to bring in that confidence for us. So coming to conference is a big one. Coming to a boot camp, there's typically quite a few during the summers, regionals, super Saturday trainings. They kind of call them all the same thing, but that's another way where you're getting connected, staying connected, to other people that are excited like you are, and getting clarity from them. Sometimes their organized mind is going to bring organization back to you, right? Whoever's speaking, they're taking time to organize their thoughts into a presentation, and they're going to be able to bring that clarity to you. At those events, it's definitely more field-based, field-led, meaning you're hearing from people that are from doing the same things that we're doing versus a little bit more corporate led at conference. You're hearing more from what sort of going on corporate side. And I personally want to hear that now. I'm like, what's going on here? Like, wait, what are you guys doing? And I would love some organization in my mind about this. I need some confidence back in the company, and that's going to come from conference. So I really hope that you guys are planning on some of those events. So, an organized mind is focused. An organized mind gets things done because it's focused on what you want. So, really thinking, what do we want out of this? That changes, that shifts from time to time, from season in life. But what do we want from this? We can say we just want to help people, but people don't always want to be helped. We've got to have something a little bit bigger than that we're giving our direction to. What do you financially want this income to do for you? What do you want the flexibility of this income to be able to do for your life? What does that look like? What does it look like right now? And then what does that look like 5 years from now, 10 years from now? Because sometimes that long term is what we keep our focus on because that's what we're aiming for. And then our focus right now is what's going to keep us into action. So just like an organized mind attracts people that are looking for organization, a scattered attention really creates disorder in other people's mindset too. So when we're talking about what do we want for this, we can be inspired. People can inspire us and they can give us, pump us up. But really, willpower comes from within us. That's the force to organize our thoughts and move into action. That willpower is into the action. The willpower is what makes you sit down and fill out your DMO planner this week. It's what the willpower is what makes you text some of your customers. It's the willpower is what makes you pick up that phone. Oh my gosh, is that scary or what? But a lack of willpower is what's going to create disorder. So it's not if something happens that disorganizes our mind or our life, it's when, right? Like you can have aging parents that they have a fall and now you're having to really upend your whole life and go help them and get them back on track. It can be a child that is now they're pregnant and they've got married, they're pregnant, they're starting a family and they need help with that. It can be a child that gets on a travel ball team and your life is upended with going to all these extra games. It can be that you just had a new baby. Like there's a lot of things in life, a new job, a move, things that upend things that are like in our life. And then we've also experienced things being upended on the corporate side, right? Of new leadership and things turning over quickly, a new product coming out every 6 months, things that we don't have control over. So it's not if something, it's when something happens that's going to disorganize our life and our schedule and our systems. So how do we get that back in order? What do we do? Those little micro shifts sometimes, and then act like huge shifts that have to happen and adjustments into our life. So really it's going back to a schedule and a system and routine. How can you get that back in? So a schedule and a routine, that is often what gets interrupted. So do we just not do anything until we get back onto our schedule and routine? Or can we stick to a system? And systems, I think, are what people are able to duplicate, not personality, not charisma, not attraction, but it's a system. Is there a system in place? And I want you guys to think about what is your system? What does that rhythm look like to you? Is it posting so many times a day on social media or a week? Is it talking to so many people a day? What does your follow-up look like? It's called DMO. That's our system, right? And we can stick with DMO even in 30 minutes of a chaotic day. You can get quite a bit done in 30 minutes or an hour, but it's that consistency during that time of the system, not the routine of life, because that gets thrown off, and not our schedule, because that can be adjusted by outside forces. But our basic system of who we talk to and how we get into conversations, that's something something that we do have a lot more control over because it's really our willpower that's going to put us into action, right? That's going to really depend on our ability to discipline ourselves and the willpower to do it, which is going to be fueled by our desire, our want. What do we want out of this? And higher level people in the company or in anything you have in life around you, those people are able to create systems and they're able to create order. And then that's what organizes people around them. And that's what leadership is, organizing people around you to move forward in their own business and teaching them to get customers and follow up and all of that. So if you have a disorganized system, you have no system, it's going to be harder to duplicate anyone because they don't have a system to follow because you don't. And really, the DMO is a very simple system and it is something that we can teach them. So there's different aspects within the DMO that changes, right? Where we get our videos that we're going to share with them, or how we're going to follow up. The new app really helps us with that because when you send a link, you can see who clicked on it, then you can track it, then you kind of get some more information we've never had before. So the systems, are going to be, I guess the principles stay the same. The application is what kind of changes. The system or the rhythm of DMO can stay consistent, but how we apply it, what video source, if is it boards and whatever, that's going to shift and change. So um, even looking at your daily life, if you have no routine and no schedule, it's going to be really hard to create success. So thinking about what pulls you into order, being on a call like this each Monday morning, that's order, right? We're bringing order into our kind of scattered weekend mind and back into a focused of, okay, this is like a business mindset call, an action call. That's one thing we can do. But what pulls you into having an ordered mind, and then thinking about what pulls you out of that, what pulls you into a disorganized mind. And a confused or disorganized mind of a customer never buys. And the same for partners. A confused or disorganized partner doesn't share or build. And I really think that that has been an impact of our business the last couple of months, is because we have felt corporate has been disorganized. It's affected our lives too, with websites and just the uncertainty of that. And then that can kick us into just waiting until things get cleared up. And I get that. I really do, because that can be frustration. But we create order by making decisions and then having a defined direction. So a decision, I'm going to build this, I'm going to move forward, and then this is the direction I'm going. So organization flows into action, right? So when we're organized mind and we have focus, we have direction, our willpower is there, our desire, then it's going to flow into that action. And confidence is really inner order and emotional regulation, clarity, and stability. So what can we bring into that? How do we regulate our emotions? One of them, I think, is this thought of, are things that happen in my life, do they happen to me or do they happen for me? Just really think about that one statement. That can really help regulate your emotions. Corporate is going to corporate. They're going to make changes. They're going to make decisions. They're going to do things that we may not understand or like. I think a lot of us are not really happy about the new way that Juice Plus is shipped to us, where it's just all of the capsule bottles in a box. There's not the smaller boxes. They made that decision because of the huge impact it was having financially, but that's different. We may not like that, right? So we can have this idea of that is against us, that's happening to us, happening to our customers. Or we can think they're making this decision on our behalf because we want our Juice Plus capsules to stay around. We need this company to stay, right? And so if for a while the packaging has to change, they're doing it for us, not doing to us. that emotional regulation, just that one statement can really help you bring that regulation back in. And that's going to just bring that confidence back in again. So, emotional regulation, clarity. What do you need to do to get your mind wrapped around this new back office that we have? Like the only way we're going to get confident in that is just getting in there and digging in and using it. You can watch other people do videos, and it's great because they're going to have learned something, they can teach you something. That's awesome. And though just getting in there and using it for your everyday, that's where you're going to get more confidence in it from the use and that clarity of how to use it. And then that's going to bring stability to your mind because you're going to know, okay, I know where to go get that information. And then it's interesting when our mind is organized, people start showing up and they want to participate with you, right? They're looking for somebody who's there to help organize their life. So when we're organized, that's that law of attraction. People will start to show up in conversations because you're confident, because you're have clear direction. Not even that you're articulating those things to them. You're not walking around and you're like, hey, I know Juice Plus makes sense to you. And look, I'm confident. I know where I'm going. I know this website. I know what video to send you. Like, come on, let's go do this together. It's not like you say those things, but people can feel it. That's that law of attraction. So you have to believe your own message. What do you need to do to get your mind back into believing that own message? You've got to find your values. And when you waver from that, then we feel like sort of a feather that's blown and tossed in the wind, right? Things are different in life. There's actions that are not directed by us. There are just different influences that do kind of blow us in the wind, but we need to be able to find our direction back. And that's just super important. So when we decide and we make decisions, then we move forward. And sometimes that is just what I have to make myself focus on. I need to make a decision today to do some work. I need to make a decision to call somebody. I need to make a decision and just actually do it. And it's crazy when I do the activity, it's actually not that bad. Good things happen. A conversation goes well. And it's like I can build this up in my head because I can get really trapped into these things are happening to me versus it's happening for me. How much have we grown this year? You guys are still here. Look, you're here. How many people just dropped away and they were like, no, it's too hard. I'll come back later. The longer they've stayed out, the further behind they feel. And you guys are doing great. You're building business. You're getting customers, you're getting team members, you're making a difference. And I guarantee you people are going to be attracted to that. So we just really want to think of what is of high value to me right now. Freedom, freedom to go and be and do and go see the kids. That's a high value to me, but I still have to have the ability to be disciplined enough to do the work, right? I still have to go into action. I still have to have the willpower to do that. And that's going to be fueled by my desires. So I hope this helps you guys a bit. I have another Zoom to hop on, but thank you for joining back in this discussion with us. And we'll see you next week.